Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chandy Chess and welcome back to another discussion. This is the last day of mini series of board games. This is part 7. Previously on part 1 we talk about Monopoly. On the second part we talk about D&D, and then the third part we talk about Scrabble, I think, and then in the fourth part we talk about something I forgot. Oh my god, my my memory is so bad right now. I cannot really focus. Okay, so yesterday we talked about Cards Against Humanity, and then we talk about the mine, right? And then after that Scrabble, and then after that Battleship, I believe. Okay, so let's restart. The first part we talk about, I already forgot. The first part we talk about something. We talk about Monopoly. The second part we talk about D&D. The third part we talk about the mine. The fourth part we talk about Scrabble. The fifth one we talk about battleships. And then the sixth part, which was yesterday, we talk about Cards Against Humanity. And then today, the seventh part, we will talk about Snakes and Ladders. So yeah, you pretty much can tell that I don't have the notes with me. The notes are pretty much like in my other, on my pad, and I'm on other pad. So I didn't have the notes with me, which I should have, honestly, but I didn't, but it's fine. So yeah, today is the last one. Also, I only have like limited time for this one, but I hope I can pretty much cover as many information as possible. The reason why I pick Snakes and Ladders is because this is pretty much like the classic universal game, right? Like everyone knows what Snakes and Ladders pretty much, right? They always know, right? Um, they know this game. Like again, you kind of just ask everyone. I would say like most of people will, if not everyone, will know what it is, right? It's the board game, the Snakes and Ladders. So we go back to the classic and just pretty much learn about how this game firstly originated, probably, right? And let's see if we can find any information about the starting point of this game. Maybe the questions will revolve around how did this game first got created, how did this game get created, when was it, who created this, and what's the reception of the people that are playing it, right? And then of course the modification of the games throughout time as well. So let's just start, I guess. Snakes and Ladders is a board game for two or more players regarded today as a worldwide classic. The game originated in ancient India as Moksha Patam and was brought to the UK in the 1890s. So that's even older than the Monopoly. Even this one, it was brought in the UK in 1890s. It means that since before then, people in India already played this game, right? It just got brought into UK during that time, during that 1890s era. But for people in India, they probably already know this way back before that. Um, so there's that. It is played on a game board with numbered gridded squares, obviously, right? Usually it's 10 by 10 as well, like 1 to 100, 1 to 100, I mean. A number of ladders and snakes are pictured on the board, each connecting to specific board squares. The object of the game is to navigate one's game piece according to the die rolls from the start bottom square to the finish top square, helped by climbing ladders but hindered by falling down snakes. Okay, so yeah, over here as you can see, if you land on the snake, you will be brought back down. But if you land on the ladder, it will, you know, bring you up to the top, right? Game of Snakes and Ladders on cloth. India 19th century, so that's pretty much 18xx, right? Yeah, years active, ancient India 2nd century 82%, Genres: board game, race game, dice game. Yeah, it's obvious, right? Board game because it needs board. Race game because the first person to finish will be the winner. And dice game because it highly, not highly, it's completely based on your dice rolls, right? Players two or more, setup time negligible. Yeah, it's just setting up the token for your character and then the board. So it's pretty much just a minute, right? Playing time 15 to 45. Again, depending on the rolls, right? If your roll luckily, then you will finish. Anyone will finish sooner, and that's pretty much concluding the game. Chance will be complete, yes, because it's completely involving or relying on the die rolls, and that's pretty much it. Although nowadays there's a lot of modifications to the game as well, you can pretty much include many mechanics into the game as well, and that's pretty much just like any other games, right? It's like basically the expansion for that. Age range 5 plus. Yeah, because when I was kid, even probably before 5 as well, I already know the snake and ladder game, and I play this with my siblings, right? And yeah, we just use the 1 to 100, I think. There's like a game, but no, not like my parents brought me this or bought me this game, the snake and ladder board. I think it survived until few years down the line, but unfortunately there is a flood that came into the house, and everything's basically got destroyed, right? Like most of our stuff got destroyed. There's there was a massive flood in 2000 and I think six, either six or four. It's one or the other. I think it's six actually, and basically a lot of our stuff got washed away, got destroyed, and that also included my toys, like a lot of my toys as well, and one of them being these board games, which was unfortunate, right? And yeah, it's unfortunate because I really like that, honestly, and it's just unfortunate that we didn't actually managed to save that. But then again, that's just one thing among many other things. And then from then, we just build up. That's just the story for another day. I think it's not for today, but basically, I had this when I was kid, and then that's pretty much it. Um, when I grew up, high school, I don't think I played this. I didn't think I played this as much. Well, we played, but it's with additional rules or something like that. It's we made it so that it has something to do with something else, so that it's not just snake and ladder. So we modified this, like if we land on something, then we need to do something, right? So that's pretty much like more like questions, and like basically truth or dare challenge, right? It's somewhere along those lines anyway. The game is a simple race based on sheer luck, and it's popular with young children. But again, with the luck, I think people nowadays make this game not purely into luck as well. Like you can always add some sort of unique mechanics, right? Like if you land on certain tiles, then you can do something to either gain more steps or lose some steps. And I think there's already about this as well. Like a lot of games using these mechanics as well, using like a run around, right? Like you start from the starting point to the finish line, and then you roll the dice, and then if you land on certain tiles, then you need to do something, and then if you do it correctly, then you get rewarded, and so on and so forth. Basically, it's pretty much modified Apple games. You can pretty much modify this game as you want. Um, this is the other names as well, and then the equipment. Well, it's kind of simple. It's just a grid of, I would say 10 by 10 is the most common ones, and then just tokens, right? And then a dice or two dice rolls basically. Or you can just use one dice as well and roll that two times, and or you can just use one dice for one roll. You name it, right? It's your rule basically. history, I think we already know this from India, right? Yeah, it's from India, I believe. And was sold as snakes and ladders. Then the basic concept was introduced in the US as chutes and ladders. That's actually interesting because I thought that usually most of this stuff came from US first, right? But I was actually surprised when I know that this was originally from outside US, and then also it got popularized also outside US, and then after that then it got introduced in the US. um, so it was in India, and then it brought into the UK, and then after that into the US, right? So it's kind of shocking, honestly, that people in other country actually came up with this first than the one in the US. Well, I guess that's just how it is anyway. Maybe this um maybe there is a certain religious stuff there as well, probably. I'm not sure. Like, let's say, uh, maybe it kind of depicts on your journey to the afterlife, probably, right? I'm not sure, I'm just basically guessing. So basically, like, maybe the grid will represent your journey in life, and then sometimes there's ups and downs, and then if you pray enough to the god, in this case the RNG god, then they might give you better number, and then they will give you the avoid you the snakes steps, right? So that you don't fall down, and then you can progress to the finish line, which is, I would say, the your ascension, right, into the afterlife, having eternal happy life, basically. I think that's I can see how it can go that way. Again, that might be it. Oh yeah, here we go. The letters represented virtues such as generosity. So it's from a good deed, right? From a good trade, then you got ascended. But if you do evil thing, then you will be dropped down with the snakes, right? So yeah, I think there's like, I would say there's moral stuff into it. There's This game is pretty much a meaning, right? It has a deep meaning, if you think about it, right? And then yeah, that's just pretty much the history of that. And then for the gameplay, it's pretty simple. I would say you start at the starting point, and then you finish at the finishing line, which is, in this case, this is a 10 by 10, right? As you can see, there is so many ladders and so many snakes as well. I think the amount of snakes that will cover the tiles, I think it will be more than the ladder. I think. Yeah, I think the snakes tiles will be much more than the ladder tiles, but I'm not sure. But or even 50-50, right? But I doubt that the ladder will cover most tiles or more than the snake tiles, basically. I don't think so. Yeah, usually this kind of stuff, it's kind of, the difficulty revolves in the snakes, right? If you're unlucky, then you go down, and usually the odds of that unluckiness is set to at least 50%, right? So that the game can stay longer, and then the player that has the luck can actually win the game. I think that's where it's at. Anyway, uh, yeah, its player starts with the token in the starting square, and then just roll the dice, and that's pretty much it. And then variations, I think that's just pretty much the modifications, specific additions, mathematics of the game, the cumulative probability of finishing a game of snakes and ladders by turn n. So, okay, so that's about this one over here. So that's almost between 100, at least 100 turns. Someone will finish, right, with 100% over here. And that's pretty much it. It's interesting, if you ask me. A player will need an average of 39.2 spins to move from the starting point, which is off the board, to square 100. A two-player game expected to end in 47, with 50% chance of winning. Oh, I see. So at 47 moves, there's a 50% chance of either player will finish, right? And yeah, This calculation based on variance while throwing a 6 does not lead to an additional roll. Oh, I see. So there is also a rule in which if you roll 6, you can get additional roll. But this does not mention that because that will be another layer of variable, right? So that will be a little bit. I think if that got counted, that will reduce this amount. So the amount of turn, I would say, let's say, maybe it's in 100, it's already at 100% or at 1 basically. I think in popular culture, I think there are many movies that revolves around snakes and ladders as well. Yeah, this one, a film called After the Game, and yeah, I'm not sure if that's explicitly or implicitly about the game though, but I feel like there's some movies that mention snakes and ladders in it, and yeah, it becomes our popular culture, right? Like pop culture basically, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, there you have it. That's the end of the part 7. I think this one's probably the shortest, just for the fact that, oh, maybe not. I'm not entirely sure. I think this one's the shortest actually. The reason being, I kind of need to do something else. Well, basically, this is the Twilight Zone, right? The Twilight Hour. And every time Twilight happens, we need to do something basically. And yeah, because there's like beliefs about something's happening during Twilight times, right? So we need to prepare for that. And that's just pretty much what I'm going to do after this. I will probably talk about this in the future. I'm not sure if I want to, but pretty much Twilight Zone is when people got a little bit too busy, a little bit too rushed, and we need to prepare for something, right? It's just to prepare for the night, basically, and that's pretty much it. I guess it's just you can say it for old people during the caveman as well. Like every time they feel like the sun was setting, they became a little bit too panic, right? Because you know what happened if there's like a sudden lion that jump into your face and eat you, right? So they need to make defense, right? And that's just pretty much the same as that, in a way that we need to prepare, right? Like close the door, close the window, close the curtain, take a shower, clean yourself, prepare for dinner, and pretty much relaxing yourself, right? And that's just how it is. Anyway, I think that'll be it. That's already gone tangent from the topic. Anyway, that's been snakes and ladders. We go to classic at the last part. So there you have it. That's a 7 part of board game series. Next one we'll discuss about something else. At the moment, I already have like 2 or 3 more miniseries, but the topics are not completed just yet. So I need to think about topics within those big topics, right? So I really need to mention about that. Um, Tomorrow might not be the actual topic we will discuss, but who knows? But maybe we'll sneak in some other videos as well. I'm not sure, but anyway, this has been board games part 1 to 7. It doesn't close the possibility that we will visit this topic again in the future. Maybe I will explain again, or maybe I will add more stuff like next year probably. I'm not sure. Maybe in chapter 4. I'm not sure, right? But for now, this has been it. This has been board games mini series. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay stealthy. I will see you again tomorrow with another mini series and another discussion. But until then, see ya.